Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another video. I'm so sorry it's been so long without a video from me. I was away, but I am now back and I'm trying to get caught up with some videos, and I wanted to pop this one out. Now I know this is not a build to do with any of the new content we got, so I do apologize for that, but I really was trying to figure out where I wanted all my houses to go in my valley. I had a big shuffle round and I actually created kind of this spot in the glade that I had nothing to put here, so I actually decided to move Rapunzel's tower down here. And I know I did debate putting her in the glade for a long time because I didn't want her to be near Mother Gothel, but her house does just look so good down here and this spot was just perfect, so I felt like for now I wanted to create this little spot in the glade for her tower, and I kind of go through and finally give her a really nice decorated area. I just had never really put the time into Rapunzel's area, despite her being like my favourite character in the valley. But anyway, I just never got around to decorating for her house, so I wanted to create this little spot in the glade. It will be a pretty short build, but this is just for those of you who maybe haven't decorated for her tower yet, or you've recently got the DLC and you're trying to figure out how to design her home. So let's get started. So to start off with, as you can see, she is in this like first portion of the glade when you come down from the meadow, just by the bridge over to the big Mother Gothel treehouse. Now following on from this, on the right hand side of where her house is my pixie hollow that I created in my last video. So I just continued the kind of foresty tree look from that and just expanded that so you couldn't really see through the trees, the other different sections. I wanted it to feel very closed off, very overgrown, and kind of feel like you stumbled upon this in a forest. I didn't want you to kind of be able to see the other areas of the biome. So I started with that, popped a load of the larger trees in, and then kind of extended the pathway up to the door of her tower. I then started with going in with some of the furniture I knew I was going to be using. Now I obviously knew I wanted to create like a little painting area in here for her. I did have this previously when I had her house before. I made this little like painting area where different characters could come and like do paint lessons, was kind of my thought behind it. So I went in with some of the easels and I started also placing some of the other objects I knew I wanted to use. I wanted to use this little pillow seat section that is from the Tangled kind of selection of items we have, and also some little tables with food. So I went in and placed a lot of the main furniture, and then once I'd done that I started figuring out how I wanted it to look and what kind of spacing I wanted to do between everything. Now my aim for this area was to give it a very kind of rustic look. I didn't want it to look too built up, but I obviously did want to include a lot of colour in here. I tend to go for more natural builds, so this one was a bit out of my comfort zone. Using like the bright rug and the little pillow seat area was kind of something that I'm not used to using in my valley, but I really wanted to create a kind of bright and colourful area for Rapunzel. It just makes sense for her character, so I tried to figure out the best way to do that without it being too overwhelming in here. So I kind of started with putting those areas on separate sides of the tower to kind of split the colour up, and then figured out what other rustic kind of items I could dot around to create a really good balance between everything. Now something I knew I wanted to include in here was the kind of like floral vine archway we got in the lovely Monsters Star Path. If you don't have this, you could use the new Mulan one, would also work really well. I just personally wanted to go for this one just to change it up a little bit, but this would also be a good alternative. I really like using archways at the start of an area to kind of introduce you to it. And once I'd done that, I kind of figured out if there were any other furniture items I wanted to add before I then went in with some meadow grass and beach grass to kind of make this area look very overgrown. And that was kind of the rustic look I was going for. And then I started lining the pathways with a bunch of different foliage. I used a lot of green bushes and plants. I then go in a bit later and add in some colourful ones as well, just to kind of have those kind of like fairy core pops of colour throughout, just to tie the whole glade together, because that's kind of the theme I've got going on in the whole glade itself. But I wanted to start with the greens, and then I could figure out the spacing of everything and make sure all of the pathway was lined, just so it looks like you've kind of stumbled across this area in a very dense forest. That was the look I was going for, so I went in and added those in and started mapping out how I wanted it to look. Now, as I'm lining the main pathway going towards Rapunzel's tower itself, I do like lining the unbordered pathway just so it looks more natural, but a really good way to make sure that you can still access the two different sides of kind of like her front garden area is by using ferns. These can obviously just be walked over, so I make sure I use at least one fern on either side of the pathway to allow me easy access into those two different sections. So if I need to go in there for any particular reason, I know I can access those with the use of the ferns. After going in with the final few furniture pieces, I added in a cup of tea on one of the tables, and then I added a lot of melted candles all around the build. I wanted this to fit the fairycore vibe I'd gone for and just make it seem like there was light kind of glowing throughout all the foliage in the build. And then I dropped some of the time bending lanterns and some of the flowers we got from Rapunzel's quest in Eternity Isle, and I dotted those around the pathway and the rest of the build. I wanted these to obviously just fit her character and really give it the tangled feel. The combination of the time bending little lanterns as well as the floating ones we got in a previous star path just kind of tied it all together and added some extra light, and then the sparkles from the flowers just make it feel even more mystical. Now this is the final build. I did make it nighttime so you can see everything glowing and looking beautiful. So as we head down to the glade, you can see we've got a floral archway introducing us into the glade, into Rapunzel's area. We have the lanterns and the flowers lighting up the whole pathway to her house, giving this really magical look. I've added a lot of lanterns about, and then on the left hand side we've got the two barrel tables with some tea and the new Mulan tea set on there. I just felt like they fit Rapunzel's character. And then we have the little art station at the back with 4 different easels and a painting table. This can obviously be used as a crafting table, which is perfect to have in every biome, and I just felt like this was a really cute setup for Rapunzel to kind of bring her friends over and teach them to paint. As we head through to the other side, I just added a little rustic water pump, and then I added the pillow set just as a nice place for Rapunzel to chill and hang out. I added some books on the side as well as a guitar, and then obviously surrounded the back with lots of trees and added the floating lanterns above just to add some extra light, but also just fit Rapunzel and the tangled theme that we had going on in here. But I still wanted it to feel very covered over, very kind of bright and colourful, but to just fit that overgrown foresty look. And then having the sparkling flowers all the way up the pathway, a really nice tip from the quest we had for her in Eternity Isle. So here are some shots of the final build. These were taken during daytime, but you can obviously still see all the lights lighting everything up. I absolutely love how this build turned out. I think I was debating for so long about putting Rapunzel down here, but I just feel like her house just fits so well in the glade and also the forest. So I just definitely wanted to put her in this little spot, and because her house is so small, it gave me a lot of space to be able to decorate around it, give her this really nice area, and I'm hoping in the future we get some more tangled themed items that I can use in here to continue to decorate her area for her. So this was the final build. As I said, it is nothing new to the game. We've had Rapunzel's Tower for a long time for those of you who do have the DLC, but I'd never really given it a proper area of its own, and this spot in the glade just seemed perfect for her tower and really just fit with kind of the mystical fairycore look I was going down here in the glade. And my glade is now finished, so if you do want an updated glade tour, do let me know in the comments down below. I have recently redone the whole thing, so it is completely different to how it was previously. So let me know. I'm doing a few of my biomes over, including the beach and the forest, so I will be changing things up in my valley as I always do. But let me know down below in the comments what you think. What did you do with Rapunzel's Tower? If you have it, where did you put it? And if you have not yet got the DLC and you do want Rapunzel, she is in the DLC, so you can get that whenever, but she is in there. Make sure you like and subscribe. Every like helps, and obviously thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed and everyone that comes and hangs out in the live streams. It means so much to me, and I really enjoy chatting to you guys over there, and all the support is greatly appreciated, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.